Wake up, wake up, wake up, and stay woke. Cause this is the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B Brown, ESQ, aka the Ball Hog, aka the Mouth of the South. This is the place where sports, business, and entertainment collide. And we're gonna give it to you rough, rugged, and all right, y'all. You know what it is. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration. Y'all, pardon me. I was so excited that I turned off the doggone theme music. I'm just ready to get in because today's topic, affirmative inaction, is going to deal with a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about. The recent hirings or lack thereof of Black NFL coaches has inspired this show. I am an avid fan of all that is the NFL because of what the football world has done for me. I am not an avid fan of the fact that there are very, very, very few NFL Black coaches, and we're going to get into that. But affirmative inaction also deals with some stuff that is beyond just the NFL. So stick with us today. It's going to be a live action-packed show. You know what it is. It's the Ball Hog Sports Talk with your boy, B Brown ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hog, a.k.a. the Mouth of the South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration in the building. And we're starting off today's show with a segment that you guys are very familiar with. It is organic. It is sort of legacy to what we've been doing with the program. Before we get into what is going to be an amazing, and I promise you, amazing interview. I ask you every week, I ask you humbly to like, comment, and share. I ask you every week to please subscribe to the podcast. But this week, I want to make sure that you guys tag your friends. I want to make sure that you let people know that this conversation is going to be one that is not one to be missed. We are going to have a very candid conversation with a now, I won't call it retired, but he took this year off at least. So he don't have to worry about what he can't say. It's a Black NFL coach that has been considered for at least 2 head coaching jobs, has been interviewed under the Rooney Rule, has spent 30 plus years coaching in the NFL in different capacities, different teams, different conferences. But today, in the Ball Hog Sports Talk, he is coming to shoot it straight, rough, rugged, and raw, how we do it in the Ball Hog Sports Talk. Do not miss this interview. I promise you, you do not want to miss this interview. He happened to be my coach, my wide receiver coach at one point, a very good man, someone that I look up to, and someone that I am absolutely honored. I'm absolutely honored to have in the Ball Hog Sports Talk. So make sure that you guys tag a friend. Do not miss this. But we're going to start, like I said, with a segment that you guys are all too familiar with. Welcome to the Ball Hog Sports Talk. You know what it is. It's 3 and Impossible. I'm joined by the family. You know it's going to be the maestro, superhero DJ John Quick. Come on into the building. And we got the Maverick herself, Miss Majestic Maya, in the building. What up, y'all? How y'all doing? Happy Friday.
Hey.
Y'all know what it is. What up, bro? You know what it is, man. We about to hop right in because Ball Hog Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. We got an amazing interview coming up at the end of the show, but we got to get into the nitty gritty. We got to do some family stuff first. You know how we do it, y'all. So here it is, 3 and Impossible, like a real good spades hand, right, Maya? Maya don't want she want more hands. She want more books. She want more books, but we got 3 and Impossible. Today we don't have a guest, but we gonna hop right in because we don't need a guest. Y'all know what it is. We bring the fire, and it's a whole bunch of stuff that has to be discussed today. We're gonna start off with our man. I know Maya's favorite, Robert Kraft, and his happy ending. Mr. Happy Ending gets another happy ending because the judge ordered the video in Robert Kraft case, the massage parlor case, the happy ending case. It must be destroyed. What do y'all think about that? I'll go to you first, the maestro. Go ahead, superhero DJ John Cook. What do you think about that?
It just shows you how there's 2 Americas and how money conquers all, because, you know, the average person would be helpless in a situation like that. So, yeah, you know, I'm not surprised at all, man. You know, I guess that is his happy ending.
That is definitely his happy. You know how many of us want to get our tape destroyed? Hold on, I put myself in that category. You know how many other people want to get their tape destroyed? I'm about to get myself in trouble. The Maestro, I like that. What do you say, the Maverick, Robert Kraft, the happy ending that shall no longer be documented by way of videotape? It must be destroyed. What do you think?
I mean, the judge probably had it destroyed because he gets the same happy ending from the same woman.
Oh, that's a theory.
No one. Oh my God! Ball them all up and throw them in the trash because that's what they are. Money can't buy your class, and that proves it.
Well, you said that he's, what do you call them? The Cheatriots, not the Patriots.
Yeah. If I'm going to pay to get somebody to slob on your knob, really?
Well, I tell you what. I tell you what, man. He wins again. I don't know how he does it, but there's a lot of people that want their videotapes destroyed. Bob Kraft got it done.
Wait, Bob, have you seen his face? He doesn't win. Okay.
Yeah. He is not easy on the eyes, but guess what? He got that tape destroyed. I don't know, man. It was in the game plan. Speaking of football, Super Bowl, the advertisers are sitting out in droves this year, and they're saying that they're sitting out for a bevy of reasons, but a lot of them are sitting out for social justice reasons. Some saying that they don't want the attention diverted from social justice. Some are saying because of COVID, they just don't feel as though that spend is a good spend. I'll start with you, the Majestic Maya. What do you think about advertisers sitting this year's Super Bowl out?
Pandering. Look, now all of a sudden you so woke on social justice. Stop it. You're
not buying it.
Not at all. Not at all. Like now all of a sudden you got a conscience. Man, miss me with that bull.
I figured that the Maverick was going to come in that direction. What do you think about this, superhero DJ John? Quick, do you think that they are doing it for the right reasons, or are they pandering?
Pandering. It's like the old saying, you got to read the room. So they're basically reading the room, saying, you know what, we gonna sit this one out right now. So yeah, it's not legit.
I think it's a good time to read the room. But does that suggest that they have people of color in these decision-making rooms now? Because I'm hoping
not necessarily.
No.
Not necessarily, no.
They're looking at their bottom line and they're seeing how their lack of stance is affecting them making money. It has nothing to do. These people don't have conscience. They don't have hearts. Their heart beeps green. Money. That's all they care about. They're all scum buckets.
It has been interesting to see that now all of these brands are hopping on board because to be socially woke is no longer taboo, and it has become trendy. And so again, not to make this about Kaepernick, but I will say I give him all the credit because before it was trendy, he was active. And so shout out to him because nowadays it's not as nuclear to say how you feel in terms of the injustices that you've experienced. And a large part of that is because of him. Shout out to him.
Really quickly before we switch, our producer said Budweiser and Pepsi pulled out of advertising. Pepsi used to run the halftime show. So for them, I mean, they have a couple of specks of pepper on their boards or whatever, but the smaller brands, this is their perfect opportunity since these big brands are pulling out for them to come to the forefront. So like I said, it's all about money. No one cares about social justice or whatever. No one gives a shit until it comes knocking at their door. So
I thought about in our meeting for the Ball Hog Sports Talk to throw out the idea of us using one of those spots, but I knew Maya was going to give me the face. To be in NFL commercial for the Super Bowl, what would you think about that? Ball Hog Sports Talk, yay or nay? I'm joking, of course. For those of you who don't, for those of you who don't follow, Maya has been off of the NFL for what's it been 2 years now, Maya?
2. Stop playing me.
Well, 3. I lose track. How long?
Since Colin Kaepernick has been ostracized by the league, they have not. My black eyes have not watched their whack ass product.
All right, so I guess that's the only reason that we're not going to buy one of them Super Bowl ads. You better believe we had the money to do it. Ball Hog Sports Talk was almost there, but Maya said no. All right. Candace Parker chooses home over Hollywood. She said, all right, LA, I'm out of here. While most people are dying to get to LA with the beaches and the nice warm weather and the beautiful people, whether it's natural beauty or because of cosmetic surgery, it don't matter. There are beautiful people out there. Candace Parker says, no, she's going to Chicago. She wants to play for Chicago Sky, which is her hometown. What do y'all think about that decision? Should she have stayed in beautiful LA where she is sort of the epicenter of the beauty too? Beautiful woman. Or is she smart to go home to Chicago? I'll start with you, Maya.
She's brilliant to go home. Who wants to be in the land of COVID? Everybody dying now in LA. I don't want. You walk out the house, it's like whoosh, COVID. No, thank you. I could duck and dodge a bullet quicker than I could duck and dodge COVID. Send my ass home.
What do you think about a superhero DJ John Quick?
I mean, a lot of athletes, they want to, try to bring a chip to their hometown. So there's nothing wrong with that. I appreciate her, pretty much ignoring the warm sun of LA for the brutal cold of Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Big problem. And she fine. So it's all love. I don't care what decision you would make, to be honest.
Well, it's a perfect transition because speaking of another fine woman that I'm quoting you now, another fine sister, Naomi Osaka, your girl, man. She is now becoming an owner. She's one of the latest athletes. She's moved not just from activism now to ownership of the National Soccer Women's League. She's become a part owner of a team. I'll let you start since you have identified her as a fine sister too. Superhero DJ John Quick, what do you think about that, man? She's entered the ownership world.
As my grandfather used to say, she's finer than all outdoors, whatever that means. But no, I think it's dope. Anytime we can get Black ownership in a sports team. Now, I have no idea, in terms of, what that particular team is worth, but good, good for her. And she's young too. So hell, this might not be her only purchase, the rate she's going, because she's going to be around for a second.
She is, man. She's gonna make that different level, generational type money. And yeah, I agree with you, man. It's good to see Black ownership in any shape, form, or fashion, but to see an athlete in their prime, she is absolutely in her prime. Or even she's probably still got a few years to really be in her prime.
Yeah, she's probably not there yet. Like she's going to only get better. Like she's a beast now,
right? So to have the wherewithal, and I do my fair share of LeBron bashing, but shout out to that example that he set. I've given the shout out to Kaepernick already this morning. Shout out to the example that people like LeBron and Serena have given, because while it was probably past their prime, they got into ownership, and now Naomi Osaka is doing it even pre-prime. What do you think about that, Miss Majestic Maya, before we move on?
Yeah, well, Russell Wilson also, he's in his prime. He bought into a soccer league, him and Sierra. I love it. First of all, soccer is actually the most popular sport in the world. It's still over basketball. It's cheaper to play soccer than any other sport. And kids, it's a huge money maker. The World Cup just takes over. So women's soccer isn't as big, as huge in America because the U.S. women's soccer team just blows through the competition. So it's a smart move for her. I love it. She's a little activist. She just do your thing. Make that money, sis, because I know it's going to come right back to the community. So cheers to Naomi.
Absolutely. And I hope it works out for in terms of soccer or football being the most popular sport in the world. It just goes to show you the world don't know nothing. They don't know nothing. It's supposed to be football should be the most popular sport. Notre Dame is leaving the party. They say, I'm taking my hat, my coat, and I'm leaving. It was good to be here for a year, baby. But they are officially peacing out to the ACC. And I have made jokes about this, that only Notre Dame could come into somebody's house and let them know up front that the only thing I'm doing is I'm only here to get the collard greens, and I'm out as soon as the collard greens is done. And most people don't let you just eat and run, but that's exactly what Notre Dame has done. They went and took part as a football program in the ACC for 1 year. Now they're leaving. Miss Majestic Maya, what do you think? Notre Dame is leaving the party. What do you think about it?
And water is wet. It's so obvious. Duh. I mean, it's easier than 2 + 2 = 4. I mean, come on. It's basic. It's money. Notre Dame is one of those programs that could stand on its own. It doesn't need to be affiliated. Mm-hmm. Come on. Basic.
We out. We're going to take this bag and we out. How about that? Superhero DJ John Quick. I won't say I know. I think that we have officially brought you on board. That you are an official, unofficial Notre Dame fan. Because when we talk in Notre Dame, like I look at your facial expression, and over the time that we've done these shows, man, it's more and more of a smile every time you hear those words, Notre Dame. What do you think about us having a 1-year party in the ACC, baby? And we out. Come on, you got to be on board. Bless you.
Listen, yeah, I laugh because we talk about Notre Dame like ESPN talk about the Dallas Cowboys like every day, every week we talk about Notre Dame, but it's all good. And you know, I knew what was going to happen. Like Notre Dame is a brand, you know, that's lasted over the years in terms of, you know, having that staying power, you know, on their own. So yeah, this was definitely one of those. Basically, the ACC was a call girl. That's what it was. They knew it.
How did we get right back to Robert Kraft's story? I thought we was past Robert Kraft. Hopefully nobody has a tape of what we did over here. Hold on, y'all. I done messed around and forgot to plug up again. And hopefully nobody has a tape of what we did over the last year in the ACC. But I love that reference that it was a call girl.
Right. I was about to go way left and be like,
no, don't do that. Don't go way left yet. It's too early in the morning. They ain't had their coffee yet. Don't go way left.
I'm like, are you a star in Brazil and we don't know about
it? I'll say this when it comes to Notre Dame, because the reason it keeps getting on the program, Superhero DJ John Quick, is I gotta be honest. You know, I gotta say in that I keep dropping Notre Dame every time the producer try to go in a different direction. Like, what about that Notre Dame story? So I'll say this, since I'm guilty of influencing why it's always discussed. I'll say this: when it comes to, you are right, Mike. When it comes to Notre Dame, it's about sort of enjoying the benefits of that brand. And why would you want to share money and split it up between 12 teams or however many teams are in any particular conference when you can take all that money and not spread it out? And that's just simple, like you said, very simple math. All of us, since the age of 4 years old or however old you were when you discovered money, we don't like to share. And so Notre Dame is just that same little 4-year-old who don't want to share their lemonade, don't want to share their money, their quarters, whatever the case it might be. They holding on to all the quarters and dollars. So that makes a lot of sense. All right, the story that I've been waiting to get to.
Oh, gosh.
Here we go, y'all. In the NFL, it's always close to the Super Bowl. There's always some story that the NFL just shakes his head at because it tarnishes the image. And I know y'all don't watch the football on the field, but you had to be under a rock not to hear the story about Chad Wheeler. Chad Wheeler is an offensive lineman, was an offensive lineman for the Seattle Seahawks. They have since parted ways. He will not be re-signed. He was a free agent anyway. He sort of upped his free agency by his recent activity. And let me do two things because I don't want to make light of a really, really, really dark situation. There was domestic violence involved. A woman literally thought her life was about to be taken at the hand of this 6'8", 315, 320-pound man. I don't want to make light of that. So we send our regards to her because that is first and foremost. All right. And we can talk about the domestic violence aspects of it, but let's talk about just the story itself. Chad Wheeler, like I said, is an offensive lineman. Nate Burleson went off script to talk about it and sort of took a risk in doing so. I don't remember what show he was on. It might have been Get Up. It might have been Good Morning America. I don't remember which show he's on.
Good Morning Football.
Good Morning Football, rather. I call it Good Morning America.
That's the show he's on anyway. So
Yep, that's his primary show, Good Morning Football. But he's everywhere now. Shout out to that brother. Keep doing his thing. A New Jersey resident, by the way. Go ahead, young brother. Keep doing your thing. But he went off script to talk about it, and he had to go off script to talk about it because not a lot of people want to discuss this. The NFL Network obviously doesn't want to discuss it because, again, it's a black eye, no pun intended, but a black eye about on the brand. So two separate things. Let's talk about the issue. Let's talk about the coverage of the issue, and we ain't gonna be on it long, but wanted to know what you both thought about it. I'll go ladies first here. What do you think, the Maverick?
Thanks, Bobby. This just goes to show exactly why I don't respect the league and can't follow this league, because it's just a trash organization. You mentioned the parallels about this particular case. One thing was the NFL got ahead of the story. This was not covered on CNN, any network. No one knew about it until there were tweets about it. Mm-hmm. That's how people found out of it. It was like, tweets, what the hell is going on? Because the NFL got ahead of it so quickly. Also, they had mentioned that Chad, he has mental health issues. It's always used as a crutch when a white person does something that is so fucked up and outlandish. Oh my God, mental health issues. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If white people have mental health issues, then black people have them too. Why is it that there's always some justification for them doing some fuck shit? Another thing that really stuck out to me was the reaction of so many black men on Threads, justifying why this woman deserved to nearly lose her life because she chose to be with a white guy.
I should interject there to say, because what I did describe, and I apologize, especially for our listening audience by way of the podcast community, is that Chad Wheeler is white, 6'8", 320 pounds. The victim in this case was a black woman. All right. Yeah, so I interject just to give that description, and we don't know her name, so I'm calling her just the victim because that's absolutely what she was. I interject to give that background. Sorry to interject, but then I throw it back to you. Go ahead, Maya.
Yes. So I just don't understand the whole vitriol. I don't care, black, white, green, purple. No one deserves to be beat on. No one deserves to be hit. And the mere fact that you're using, oh, he's bipolar, he didn't take his meds, using all of these narratives to take away from the fact that he's a woman beater. It is what it is. And the mere fact that you will drag so many black men through the mud, to just, he's this horrible person. Do the same thing for him. Now, this is alleged. This hasn't been verified, but sources are saying that when she came to after he beat the shit out of her, he was sitting down and eating, saying, "You're still alive?" What kind of warped shit is that? And he made bail. He bailed himself out of jail. Where's the bail for black men who are getting arrested for marijuana, serving 25 years for marijuana? But this white man beat the living shit out of a black woman and he makes bail? Really? You cannot tell me there are not two justice systems in America. You proved it with the first topic when we were talking about that nasty ass Bob Kraft. You have video destroyed of you doing something illegal. Is it minor? But it's in the misdemeanor. Yeah. But you want to know something? It's so much bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Khalif Broward, all these young black men. I see you, Ellis. All of this shit is ridiculous. He almost killed that woman. And he home? He chilling? Seriously?
Superhero DJ John Quick. And I appreciate those words, Maya. I went to you first because I think just the domestic violence element of it, while as a man, I have my own feelings about the story, I don't pretend to ever really appreciate just how sensitive that is for women. So I wanted you to lead the conversation on it. So I appreciate your candor there. Superhero DJ John Quick, what do you think about the story? And we'll move on.
I'm going to keep it real quick and simple. Any man that does something like that is not a man. He's a coward. He's the worst of us. And Maya was 100% right. And, there's two Americas. How the hell is this man home? He almost killed that woman. And it's disgusting, to be honest, Bob. So, yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that, bro, because I don't feel like getting that angry this morning because it really something like that really made me angry,
Yeah, to see that sister, man, that image of her face, and it people are bringing up the Ray Rice story or the Ray Rice tragedy. I'm not even going to call it a story. It's a tragedy that happened. And in both cases, the imagery, I think, gives us more of a reaction. And we need to stop just being so reactive to the images, whether it be the video in the Ray Rice saga or the pictures of the victim here in this story. Let's start listening to our women, man, because at the end of the day, we don't need to see it in order to hear the experience from women. And so just unfortunate. Now, being bipolar, that aspect of the story should be discussed months from now. It shouldn't be discussed now. Similarly, when a black person is found guilty of something, or there's a story out there, or like, one of these brothers on the wrong end of the injustice of police, all of a sudden we're talking about they stole bubblegum in 5th grade. Exactly. It's not time to talk about that right now. And so is being bipolar and having mental issues a problem? Absolutely. But this ain't the time to talk about that. And so I'll leave it there. On a much more positive note, when it comes to our sisters, Florida Gators, this junior, Nia Reed, basically had essentially almost a perfect floor routine. And we put melanin into gymnastics, y'all. Quickly, what do you think about it? Superhero DJ John Quick. This sister had a darn near perfect floor routine, and there was a lot of rhythm in there. So it was gymnastics, but you felt it. You was like, oh, I could see her at the cookout. You could see her. Like, there was a lot of rhythm in that floor routine.
That's funny that you said it. Could you imagine her going to a family cookout? Oh, can you do that routine? I know it's the grass, but come on, girls, show something for your grandma.
Oh my God.
She was amazing. Real talk.
She was straight up. Maya, what do you think about that sister?
I love it because gymnastics is not about 1, 2, 3, 4. It's got rhythm. You're flipping. You're supposed to be entertained. I tell you, we're like BASF. We don't make the products you buy. We make the products you buy better.
Amen. Amen. I'm gonna skip around a bit, so the producer is gonna think I'm going crazy, but it's gonna be okay. I'm going. First story is here that Deshaun Watson asking for a trade. I love the fact that these brothers have a leverage because Deshaun Watson has a no trade clause. This brother has a no trade clause in his contract, yet he is the one that is initiating this conversation about a trade. Superhero DJ John Quick, very quickly, what do you think about Deshaun Watson?
Yeah, it was all over the news yesterday, and apparently he had asked for a trade like a couple of weeks ago. So the funny thing was the Houston, they hired a black coach, I guess, to try to make it look like, well, we tried our best. But mind you, this dude is like 65 years old. This is no long-term plan. Like that organization is just a hot mess. It's bad when one of your all-time great, defensive players goes over to Deshaun and says, man, I'm sorry we wasted a year of your life. It doesn't get any better than that, man. It's crazy.
Right on point. What do you say, Maya? I know you're not into the NFL, but this brother, a black quarterback, a black quarterback that is Pro Bowl material, a black quarterback that signed what I would call a dream contract, in my humble opinion, because I have literally dreamt about the terms of that contract. The only difference was my name was there instead of Deshaun Watson. So a dream contract. The one with all the leverage, what do you think about it?
I'm here for it. Black people need to control that shit anyway. We run the league. I love the fact that he has control over what he wants to do. More players should have that fucking the power and control over their own livelihoods. Shout out to you, young black man. Keep winning the fight.
Just because they are sending me the numbers, that's your third F-bomb, Maya, but we ain't sending you to detention. That is, I'm not counting, but somebody's just letting me know. Third F-bomb. I agree with y'all. I love to see this brother.
I put the 3 in front of that. They better tread lightly.
Yeah. You can add to it. You know what I'm saying? I can add to it before I take away from it. It's like my preacher. I add to it before I take away from it. I love it too. The fact that this quarterback, position of leadership, is leading in his own efforts to maximize his career. So go ahead, Deshaun Watson. I hope he lands somewhere that will maximize his talents. And I stopped in this segment before we move on to the next one. And the next segment will be traffic court. So y'all bear with me. We're going to transition into it smoothly. We're going to be bringing on my man Big Flo from the Big Flo Show. I stopped here for this last topic before we bring Big Flo on to say 2 things, or really 3 things. The first thing, like we ask you every week, humbly, please like, please comment, please share. We want as many people as possible to hear it. We're trying to fine tune it, get better and better every week. We ask you that, the live audience, to do that. We ask you to subscribe to whatever your favorite podcast platform is. We ask you to subscribe to the Ball Hog Sports Talk. First thing. Second thing, I think it's very important for us to give a very brief moment of silence because today is the day after. Yesterday, we lost one of our greats in Cicely Tyson. Last week, Friday, right after the show, we lost Hank Aaron's. So I think both Hank Aaron and Cicely Tyson, what they mean to the Black community, the sacrifices they made, I'll be remiss. Apologies that we didn't do this at the beginning of the show, but we're going to do it right now before we transition. Let's take a very brief moment of silence. That silence is deafening because of all the work that they did. Cicely Tyson and her role, and they got a high school named after her here in East Orange, New Jersey.
That's right.
And a lot of great people have graduated from that high school, but just all the work that she's done for the arts community has just you can't say enough. And although she lives to the age of 98, I wish she could have lived to the age of 198 because we need more people like her. Same thing with Hank Aaron is that although he lived to the age of 86, the sacrifices that brother made to essentially integrate baseball and get a chance, right? To really get a chance. When I say integrate and see what he did statistically, Homer Hank, what was his nickname? Hammering Hank. Hammering Hank. Messed up his nickname. Apologies, but it makes the point, Hammering Hank, because of his proclivity to hit home runs. It's big time, man. And so it's unfortunate we lost those two Goliaths in terms of the Black community. And so it leaves a void for all of us to step up. In a word, up or down, do you buy the story that the vaccine had nothing to do with Hank Aaron passing? Yes or no? Do you buy that story? The vaccine had nothing to do. You don't believe it. What do you think? Superhero DJ John Quick?
No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah, from a PR standpoint, they had to be shaking their heads like, I cannot believe that Hank Aaron.
His birthday is actually next Friday. He would have been 87.
Wow. Yep. So we are now going to transition, y'all, to the next part. Maya got big things to do, y'all. She taking over the world. So we're going to get this next part in before she leaves us for the day. This is the traffic court. Y'all know it is. We bring in one other person, Big Flo from the Big Flo Show. Traffic court. Y'all know what it is.
What's good, America? What's good?
What's up? What's up, Big Flo? We go through the topics quickly. We're going to go around robin. We got the judge. That's me, B Brown ESQ. You got the jury. That's Big Flo and DJ John Quick, superhero DJ John Quick, that is. And then we got the executioner, Miss Majestic Maya, who comes with F-bombs and all, ready to execute. So don't mess around. All right. That's it. No MLB Hall of Famers this year. These writers, man, they created a strict and high bar to pass in order to be a Hall of Famer, so it seems. I'll start with you. I'll start with you, Big Flo, on this one.
First of all, somebody just called us the Brady Bunch. That was funny. They called us the Brady Bunch. The way the squares moved. Okay,
let me look up at Maya.
Shout out. Yeah, we started looking up, doing these things.
That's dangerous to get them type of comments airplay because now it's going to invite more of the comments.
Producer put it on the top of the thing. I saw it was funny. I got to call it.
So what do you think about it? Is that reasonable or excessive that the writers decided that none of the candidates were worthy of being Hall of Famers this year for the MLB? I'll start with you. Reasonable or excessive?
I look at it a couple ways. First of all, I think I'm not a big baseball guy, but I kind of respect the fact that people don't just get in every year and it's a little bit more exclusive, that you had to get a certain amount of votes to get in. I see the top two vote getters or the top two people that got snubbed were the pitcher Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, and so the writers like, I'm never gonna let him in because of PEDs. I kind of go back and forth on that. I know, especially when it comes to Barry Bonds, he was a Hall of Famer before he got swole, right? Yeah. And then he did whatever and he came in. But I kind of look at the era and say, look, he played, he was on the field. They found out there was some stuff, whatever, you get in trouble. People get in trouble in all kinds of sports. for PDs, for drinking, for domestic, but whatever, they get you disqualified at the time. He was on the field, those stats happened. I don't think you can keep him away. I think it's kind of at this point, I think they need to be in the Hall of Fame for that. But I do kind of like the fact that the Hall of Fame is exclusive enough that you don't just have to put people in every year. I do like that.
Superhero DJ John Quick, what do you think about the topic, the fact that none of the candidates made it into the MLB Hall of Fame this year for the 2021 class?
Yeah, I'm with Flo, man. Like, I love the fact that they make it real exclusive. They make it real stringent. And even though they're hypocritical because, baseball rode that whole wave with those whole, juiced up home run hitters or whatever, and Barry Bonds' head tripled in size from the time, when he was a Pirate.
I don't know about his biceps, but his head real big. I don't know.
Eddie Murphy.
Oh my God. Like, where they find a batting help for this dude? But,
just give me that skull cap. I just go.
All I have to say is, I agree. He was the Hall of Famer way before the whole steroid thing. But, that's a case of trying to keep up with the Joneses. So it is what it is.
All right, Maya, what do you think about it? And then we'll move on quickly.
Okay, I may be a little controversial. I agree with the writers because you have to keep some sort of level of mystique or whatever with it. However, it is proven for baseball, PEDs have nothing to do with hand-eye coordination. Your eyes still have to see the ball and you still have to hit the bat. It doesn't matter. So those PED players like Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, they were going to get into the Hall of Fame beforehand. It just enhanced, but you still have to boil baseball down to the root. Your eye has to see the ball that's coming to you, and you have to hit that ball. That's it.
I agree, man. It's so crazy. This PED saga is that my man Sammy Sosa, like, the only chance I'm gonna get in is if I'm white. He turned race on y'all. I'm about to go white. That's the only shot
Robert Kraft on y'all. Trying to get like Robert Kraft.
When it comes to the case of MLB Hall of Fame inductees for 2021 and none of them making it in, I say it's excessive. Look, man, any writer that says Barry Bonds is not Hall of Fame worthy is off his meds. Not to make light of it, but something has to be wrong. That man is a Hall of Fame baseball player.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll move on. I'm going to sort of bring these two topics together because they have something to do. They have something in common, and it is Alabama. Najee Harris ignores his agent's advice, and he practices at the Senior Bowl. We had talked about the Slim Reaper last week. He went to the Senior Bowl, but he decided that he was not going to be weighed. He's like, y'all ain't about to weigh me because one thing I do know is that I don't weigh a lot. What do y'all think about that? I'll start with you, Miss Majestic Maya. Are they going a little too hard? What's going on? Why go if you're not gonna listen to your agent or if you're not gonna get weighed? What do you think about it, Maya?
I mean, I guess they went because you still want to get the allure of other players to come to the bowl game. That's what I think it comes down to. It's just like, Devontae Smith's going, yeah, I'm gonna go there because I gotta show him up. And then he pulled the fast one, like, you ain't weighing me, I ain't running, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just here to get some attention. I'm here for it because I know I damn sure ain't stepping on no scale.
Right.
I didn't even think about that. See, that's why I love the fact we have a woman's perspective. Y'all read that like, I feel you. I ain't getting on no scale either. Ain't nobody gonna tell me. I did not think of it like that. See, okay. I love it. Mars and Venus. Superhero DJ John Quick, what do you think about it?
Yo, can you imagine the situation? Devontae, since you here, can you get on that scale? And Devontae said, and he walked out the room on that.
Right. Nah, that ain't happening. Keep your scale.
My thing is this, Bob. The eye test is real. Like, if you don't think that dude can affect your team, you are a fool. Like, he is one of the elite receivers that we've seen in a while in the college game. So, sometimes these cats, they overthink things, I think, man. But
we do have a comment saying that they will weigh him at the combine, but even the combine is going to be done virtually this year. So if you're ever going to get away with not being weighed in person, this will be the year. So Devontae Smith might be on some Slim Reaper, baby. What do you think? What do you think about it, my man, Big Flo? Before we move on.
I think the Najee Harris thing, the fact that he's going to go and perform despite what his agents say, that's on him. He's taking a risk. You hire your agent to give you advice, but he says in his heart, he feels like he wants to show us, almost like a guy in court, like we're, no pun intended, here what we're doing. But hey, I want to testify. I want to get on stand. I need to tell him because I know I'm innocent. So he's like, he knows he's the man. He's going to do it. I think the Slim Reaper, you know what, man? He said, how tall am I? 3 touchdowns in the first half of the national championship game. That's how tall I am. That's how much I weigh. How much do I weigh? However many 100 yards I had. MVP. That's how much I weigh.
How much I weigh? Go ask the DB from Clemson
how much I weigh. He don't know. He never tackled me.
Oh, yeah, right. Go ask him how much I weigh. Go ask that DB from Georgia when I won the national championship as a freshman how much I weigh.
Ask Bank of America how much my dollars weigh.
Yeah.
Judge me on what I do in the field. I love that.
Speaking of speed, because Devontae Smith is a fast one, but there's another conversation now where Scott Miller from Tampa Bay, as we're leading up to the Super Bowl, Scott Miller was feeling, hold on, I forgot to get my verdict. My bad. Let me rewind. Y'all got to excuse me. I got so into that. When it comes to the case of the Alabama players, and are they going too far? When it comes to the case, are they going too far? Is it reasonable or excessive? I think that they are absolutely reasonable. I like that Najee Harris wanted to get out there and show what he could do because the running back position is becoming obsolete. And the fact that it's becoming obsolete.
We'll talk about this off-site, but
yeah, you could find the next best running back, delivering your Amazon package right now. You're
very disrespectful to these
It's extremely disrespectful to the running back.
I love a great running back, but they are not in short supply. I'm just sorry. They ain't. But I will say this, that Devontae Smith, his idea was a brilliant one. You ain't gonna weigh me. So I would say that they're reasonable.
That is hilarious, bro. You think you gotta be like, whoa.
Yeah.
What's up with these scales?
Yeah. I would say, absolutely reasonable. When it comes to sort of this Scott Miller calling out, not only did he just call out somebody, he called out Tyreek Hill, the cheetah himself, and said, hey, man, like, not only would I beat you, it wouldn't be close. I had at the illustrious St. Thomas Aquinas of the greater Fort Lauderdale, Florida area, we had a white guy on the team, a few. One, Kurt Olivadotti, who ran on the Four Horsemen. One, my man, John Underhill, that we called Ghost because he was so fast. We had some fast white boys. At Notre Dame, we had Joey Gethro. We had some fast white boys. But to hear this white boy, it's my man Scott Miller call out Tyreek Hill. It was interesting. What do you think about a Big Flo? Tyreek Hill, you on the clock.
I'm gonna tell you honestly, I love it, and here's why I love it. I didn't know who this dude was when I got to prep for the show. For real, I didn't know who it was. When I looked at it, I seen it was a white dude. I was like, damn, okay, he got some balls. But to me, it's like a battle rappers. You know what I mean? You want to call out 50? Well, don't call out 50 Cent. He'll get you. But call out one of these rappers and get him to say your name and talk about it. So then they had Mahomes had to answer and talk about who the dude was. I googled, I looked at it. All y'all looked at it. Now the people on the show are looking at it. Look, he may never make it back to a Super Bowl, man. He's trying to make himself marketable. I'm faster than everybody in the NFL. Let's do it. Maybe I can get a big race. Maybe I can do this. I love it, man. It's marketing. Let's do it.
He did have, I think, essentially the game-winning touchdown. So I agree with you. I didn't really know who he was. We called him by number when he caught that touchdown.
Yeah.
The NFC Championship game.
Yeah, I bet you don't remember what that number is now.
I promise you I don't know what number.
You don't remember. So
I was talking bad about him, too. I was like, that number such and such is terrible. And then he caught that touchdown. But now he's a household name. Superhero DJ John Quick. You know what it is, man. We throw events. Sometimes you gotta hype it up. I think Scott Miller was hyping it up. What do you think about it?
Marketing 101, because to be honest, I think Randy Moss could come out of a retirement and outrun this dude. So please, it's marketing 101. I'm not mad at him, no. I'm not mad at him. They should do the race though,
they should do the race.
Just to see who get ridiculed.
Bitcoin, yeah.
Miss Majestic Maya, what do you think about it?
I ain't thinking about no white wide receiver.
Come on.
Oh, damn.
He cold, though. NFC. Hey, he got a touchdown.
Look, he doesn't have any awards named after him. It's no Bolitnikov award or whatever. Next. No one will be able to distinguish him from whatever the rest of them are playing in that league.
You just throwing the whole league away.
He's a red dude. You throw a whole way in the garbage. Throw it all in the garbage.
In the case of Scott Miller calling out Tyreek Hill, is it reasonable or excessive? It's absolutely reasonable. If he would actually win, we won't find out because it's before the Super Bowl. So to call somebody out, knowing that you don't have to actually race them, is genius. Because we all went and Googled his name. It's genius. Matter of fact, I should have did it. I should have called him out. Like, I'm a retired old 42-year-old podcaster, and I will whoop Tyreek Hill.
Primatine mist. Ice pack, Gatorade, IV drips, and everything to get you down there. Your head.
Matter of fact, as I talked about it, I just applied some ice to my hamstring. The discussion of Hill made my hamstring twitch a little bit. All right, y'all. We're gonna close out right there. No, you know what? One more quick topic that I gotta get out of here. NBA is sniffing out COVID. They got COVID dogs. If you gotta bring a COVID sniffing dog, is that too much? What do you think about it, Maya? You first, quickly, the 30-second answer.
Not excessive. If you got to do all that, shut it down completely. That's it.
Superhero DJ John Cook, what do you think about these COVID sniffing dogs?
I just got questions like, how do they train them? Like, are the dogs communicating with them? Like, yo, you smell like COVID, son. like, how does that work?
You got COVID breath.
Exactly. You got that COVID breath, bro. Like, are you wearing COVID cologne? Oh, man. The hell? Like, I don't get it, man. I can't trust it. I'm like that old Public Enemy song. Can't trust it.
Can't trust it. Big Flo, what do you think about it?
I think it's genius. You know, you got all these dogs that have been out of work because weed is legal now. So you can't have the weed sniffing dogs no more. They ain't got nothing to do. So now, hey, teach them how to smell COVID. Be like, you smell like COVID. No, man, I just got a blunt. It's just a blunt. Don't worry about nothing. So I love it, man. I think it's fantastic.
Hey, they just keep on haunting brothers. You know how many brothers tried to go into the arena with a joint in their pocket, worried the whole time?
You're over there sniffling, and you see the dog coming. You're like,
I ain't worried about COVID. Like, man, I thought I have finally outgrown these dogs giving me a heart attack. You know? In the case of these COVID sniffing dogs, reasonable or excessive? I'll say it's absolutely excessive. You got to bring a dog to sniff out the COVID. Something tells me that you don't need to be having a game. All right, y'all. Love this segment. The judge, the jury, and the executioner. This has been Traffic Court. I'll see y'all. Well, I'll see Reg here in a little bit. Miss Majestic Maya, the Maverick, the superhero, DJ John Quick, the maestro. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for being on the Ball Hog Sports Talk as always in your contributions. Y'all have a fabulous weekend. Make sure that before y'all go, I'm gonna tell y'all, make sure that y'all link a friend. Go ahead and mention them in the comments. Continue to like, continue to comment, continue to share. You do not want to miss this interview that's coming up with a 30+ year NFL coach that happens to be black. We're going to talk about the Rooney Rule. We're going to talk about Eric Bieniemy. We're going to talk about this situation, shall I call it. So make sure that y'all don't miss that. All right, y'all. Y'all be good.
Peace.
All right. This part of the show is known as the Center Court. And this is going to be our halftime today. Halftime is brought to you by Excessive Celebration, much more than a party. We are an experience on top of your event. We are going to get into this Center Court, and then we'll bring Flo in quickly, and then we're going to get into this interview. We are saving the interview for last. I want you guys to like, comment, share. Please, in the comments, connect a friend, because this interview is going to tell a lot about where we are in the NFL coaching cycle, why it's so difficult for black coaches to both get hired and then retain their employment. It's something that we've seen. It's been hidden in broad daylight, and so we're going to talk about it. But before we do that, let's get into Center Court. You guys know what Center Court is. It's the time where we take today's topic, which is affirmative inaction, and we drive home what it really means. When discussing black coaches in the NFL and the conundrum that it is, I thought affirmative inaction was the perfect title for today's show. Upon doing a simple search of that phrase, I found a collection of articles written by academics that I really, really liked. One article within that project was written by Jennifer Pierce, and it stood out to me. For Miss Pierce, in her article, she researched the legal department of a large California corporation. And after her research, she wrote these words. The white attorneys seldom included African-American men in informal socializing events that are often crucial to career development and success. And they systemically fail to mentor the few Black male lawyers in their workplace or to take them seriously in professional conversations. Those were her words, not mine. But reading those words, I was like, wow, she's literally discussing something that I got to live in real life. Not once, but twice. Once in a large international law firm setting, as the only Black attorney on the floor of transactional attorneys. I recall the most senior partner, who happened to be a white Jewish man. I recall him walking the floor and asking everyone if they wanted to go to lunch. I could overhear him. Somehow, though, he walked right past my office into the office next to mine. My next door office neighbor was a lawyer who happened to be a white Jewish man. And that is where that senior partner resumed his invitations to go to lunch. I knew my days were numbered, and they were. But before leaving that particular law firm, I got to meet the new young corporate lawyer who's essentially taking my place on the team. Surprise, surprise. He was a white Jewish man. Off to Yale for business school I go, and eventually I would land in finance, only to see it happen all over again. While leaving a large asset management firm that was managing several billions of dollars worth of assets, I got a call on my personal cell phone from the new CEO, who seemed to really like me, or at least he liked that I was a former athlete, if nothing else. But he says in that call that he hated to see me go, and he stated, "No one ever mentored you, and that is really unfortunate." Unfortunate, unfair, however you choose to describe it, it can never be described as uncommon. I don't share my personal stories to make anyone feel sorry about me, because I quickly dusted myself off and moved on to bigger and better things in both situations. I'm good. But I share these stories to show that these things still happen all the time. And because of that, that's why I'm simply not surprised. And in 2021, we are still scratching our heads when discussing Eric Bieniemy and how he still does not have a head coaching job. And I'm not surprised that we are still questioning the impact of or the lack of impact of the Rooney Rule and its impact on hiring Black coaches. And I'm not surprised that the league is known for nepotism and the league is infamous for reserving the give the young guy a chance. They reserve that for coaches that lack melanin. I'm not surprised because it's happening all around us, not just in football. Substitute NFL for law firm or asset management firm or any other industry, and you have the same problems. For those who do get a chance, it's commonplace that you have to be twice as good to last just as long. Those who oppose affirmative action, like the Rooney Rule, they often do so. They oppose it under this pretense of meritocracy. And that rationale is hollow and unfounded. And it's this affirmative inaction that allows the injustice to persist in the NFL and in corporate America. And that's a word. That is the center court today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Affirmative inaction is the title because of very specific reasons that I've lived and that we're going to talk about with this 30-plus year NFL coach here in a minute. Again, please like, please comment, please share, please stay tuned. It's going to be action-packed. Do not go anywhere. Before we do that, we're going to quickly get into sports freestyle, which will only be a few minutes. I'm going to bring back my man, Big Flo. and it's going to be a quick, sports. We're going to hop into sports quickly, and then get into the interview. So with no further ado, Big Flo back in the building for our sports freestyle. This will be our third quarter before we take it home in the fourth quarter with this interview. Big Flo, what's up, man?
We back. Let's go. I was waiting, man. I like your little halftime speech, man. Little halftime speech got me hyped up, but real talk. Thinking about that topic, I think about corporate America and how it is, and it's kind of the subtleties sometimes that you don't realize. The mentorship, the camaraderie. When it comes between customers and different things like that. Of not just giving someone an opportunity, but being able to succeed because you like them. Right. I thought about a lot of the coaches that we saw at Notre Dame that now are doing really big things. Coach Martindale, the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. Right. Yeah, the Ravens. He was just a GA when he was at Notre Dame, and they treated him like they gave him wedgies and stuff like that. They treated him all crazy, but wow, he's grown up and he's been mentored. And now here he is, a highly sought after coach. But then I also look at some of these other assistant coaches, like Coach Armstrong, who's been in the NFL for a long time. He's a special teams coach. Now, I don't know what his aspirations were, or Jay Hayes that I've had on the Big Flo show that was in the XFL most recently. But I see these guys that when I was in school, when I was watching them grow up, I thought, just with all due respect, I thought a lot more highly of these guys' acumen than I did of some of these other dudes. But then I'm seeing where some of these other coaches have gone and risen to through the years and think, man, I don't know. I'm a little surprised like that. Coach Armstrong's been a special teams coach in the NFL for 20-something years. I don't know if he's tried to become a defensive coordinator or not, so maybe he's where he wants to be. But I was like, man, Armstrong was a lot bigger deal than Martindale was when I was in school. How did he end up in this situation? And just seeing how things move on in those things. And I think it is the camaraderie, I think, is a big part of that.
So let's talk about it, man, because the elephant in the room is we both have seen it. And, shout out to Coach Martindale, as we called him Wink at Notre Dame. He was a GA. And at the time I was a freshman and was taking a red shirt. For those of you who don't know what that means, I'm at school, I'm on the team, but it's already decided I'm not going to play on Saturday. Yeah. So what they do is they put you on the scout team. So I was the scout team guy. And for a scout team guy trying to make a mark with Lou Holtz being the coach, I had to make plays. So Wink Martindale and I got to be around each other a lot that year. I've got no problems with him and his ascension and doing well. And, shout out to him. Good for him. But the elephant in the room is, how is it that do you have any examples as a former college player, University of Notre Dame? You saw a lot of those black coaches. Do you have any examples of any black coaches that were able to ascend the ranks from being a GA or from a position coach that now we think of them as, you talked about the non-examples and Jay Hayes and some of the other names you mentioned. Do you know any black coaches that would be sort of?
Really, the only one that could come to mind is Charlie Strong. I never had played for him personally, but he came in. He was D-line coach after I was there. Then he rose to the ranks of head coach, but now he's a film coordinator for Alabama. He's in the film room or whatever. So the thing is, and again, I don't have. I'm out of line if I disrespect Wink Martindale. He's doing a great job as a defensive coordinator. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve that job. You just kind of wonder when you start seeing these people are rising the ranks and you watch them as a young and you look at what your opinion are. When you're a child, you look at the adults in your life and you have a real clear picture of where you rank them and how they are. And he was a great coach too, just as the rest of them. But you just wonder, it makes you scratch your head why are these guys not becoming head coaches? And again, Charlie Strong became a head coach and they gave him opportunities, but those are gone.
But did they? And I talked about this, so we'll talk about some other coaches.
They gave him opportunity, but did they give him a chance? I guess that's the thing.
That's the big thing. And I talked about sort of in order for you to last just as long, you got to be twice as good. I happen to be at Charlie Strong's first ever game as a head coach at the University of Texas because they played Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. And they were down maybe 10 points. And I heard Texas fans saying, I told you we shouldn't have hired him. They were already calling for his head. Mm-hmm. 10 points down. We got to see that Tyrone Willingham was what I would call prematurely let go at Notre Dame. And it was arguable because he was up and down. But Notre Dame, to that point, had never prematurely dismissed one of their coaches before the end of their contract. And so I agree with you, not to disrespect Wink Martindale's success. But I think the what people get lost in is we want to look at the results and say, see, no, but he's a good coach. That has nothing to do with the process. And the same thing is true. We talked about it from, a standpoint of when you make it to the college football playoffs and seeing who should be there, who shouldn't be there. People they conflate two things, the results versus whether or not you deserve to be there. The same thing is true with this story. Let's not conflate the results with whether or not you deserve the opportunity. And, let's ignore whether or not some of these coaches deserve the opportunity. Let's talk about all the coaches that did not get the opportunity that you could also argue that they deserve. I don't know if that makes sense, but
I think the fizzle out is there. The Notre Dame situation, I think with Willingham is a little bit misunderstood. And I'm not saying that just because Notre Dame guy, but I thought they thought they could get Urban Meyer, and they kind of pulled the trigger quick. I don't know if they pulled the trigger as quickly on that, but how quickly you fizzle out. And that's the thing is like it's these coaches that keep popping up. Lane Kiffin comes to mind. He goes to so many different places. They mess up. They don't do well. They get in trouble or whatever's going on. And he's a head coach again somewhere else. Then he's a coordinator for a day or two. Then he's a head coach somewhere else. And it just keeps going like that. He just keeps showing their faces. People just getting in trouble. I don't know what the guy's in. Petrino or whatever he was, he got in trouble with the he got in a lot of trouble. But then you're back in coaching, you do different things there. Then I see there's the brother that came. He was a Notre Dame guy. I don't remember his name right now. He got the Pitt. He was assistant at Notre Dame.
Mike.
Something with an H.
Yeah, that's messed up. I should know his name because he played at Notre Dame. Mike. Yes, I know his name. Mike. Coach Mike.
Coach Mike. He got the job at Pitt.
Yep.
He got into a disagreement with his the mother of his child.
Yep.
She said that he pushed her or whatever. Man, boom, they fired him. Quick, done. And then she comes back later, says he didn't do it. He had a great job. But the thing
Mike
is,
Haywood.
Mike Haywood.
Mike Haywood.
But he never got another chance. You never heard from him again. He didn't even do what he did. I mean, he didn't even do what he was accused of doing, right? He had a domestic and, things like that happen. He didn't even get in trouble for that in the legal thing. But he went, how can you go from someone thinking you're a head coach to nothing? It's over. We're out of here. And that's the part that throws me off the most. Is like the chances, the rope is so short. We gave them a chance. They failed. Yep. No chance to build up.
All right. So I'm going to get right into it, man. You and I are at different levels with this topic. And then I'm going to bring on our guest and interview him. But I think that this is important to come from because that's the player angle that we had these black coaches, whether it be position coaches or coordinators. I never had a black coordinator at the collegiate level or NFL level, but we had these black coaches, and from a player standpoint, it's interesting to look at their ascension or lack thereof. How about as a parent? Because now your son is a big time recruit and has offers that a limitless number of offers, Power 5 programs. What do you think as a parent when that coach is calling to recruit? Does that coach being black or not have an influence about how you're advising your son?
I thought about that long and hard when this topic came up, and as it comes to my son. The short answer to that is probably no, right? Like I would say that there's coaches that get along, and as I think about the coaches that I talk to, a lot of the position coaches have been black. Some of the coordinators have none of the coordinators have been black that I can think of now and whatever. But a lot of them just seem genuine that you've talked to. Now, when you see some of these schools that you start hearing rumors about, you don't know what to say. Like, okay, is this phony? Is this fake? I will say that sometimes when you have a black coach, the conversation can go to a different level that you can understand and you can get with, and you get the truth serum. So to me, I'd like to see that there's going to be some diversity on the staff. It would be a plus, I guess, if it's somebody he can relate to. And I guess it comes down to that, who's my son going to relate to? Other than myself, is in the youth level, he hasn't really had a lot of black coaches going through high school and done whatever. And he's been able to relate to some of them. So I'm not going to be a stickler about that, but you would like to see some diversity on the staff. It's different than when we played because I didn't feel like our interaction with the coaches was on a personal level the same way it is today. The coaches were like just authority figures to us, back then. You did what they said. They yell at you all the time, make you run. You don't really want to see them coming. You know what I mean? It wasn't that much joking around. Nowadays, I think it's a little bit more of an intimate mentorship type of relationship. So probably with my son, as long as if the coach is a Christian, it's probably going to be more important to him because he's a big follower and someone who's a man of faith. So But I do want to see some diversity on the staff because it says a lot about the school. It says a lot about the environment that they're going to be in.
I'm glad to hear your son's a follower and a man of faith, especially living in your household. He was able to establish that despite being your son.
I don't know how that happened.
I'm joking, but I'm serious in the sense that that's good to hear, refreshing to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Deion Sanders, we know the Jackson State story all too well, and how he is being a disruptor in terms of recruiting, in terms of college football, in terms of HBCUs versus the PWI conversation. Deion got a heads up about a recruit because his mom called Deion's mom, and the back channels just it just yells of how we do as Black folk. It ain't gonna be too many white coaches that get that pipeline for a player and get introduced to a player because somehow, some way, they got your mama's number. Mm-hmm. There is something unique about the Black experience. You mentioned Coach Charlie Strong. University of Florida remained on my list of possible places to go because Charlie Strong was recruiting me there. And I remember him, what's up? It called me, what's up, dog? You on the phone with them young girls? You on the phone with them? Our conversation was different.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It was just, he understood me on a level that other coaches didn't. Dave Roberts was recruiting me from Notre Dame. He didn't.
Hey, just do what Derek did. Go ahead.
Now I was delightfully surprised when I got to Notre Dame. Charlie Strong had made the switch and was at Notre Dame as a defensive line coach. Great man, great human. I think he'll end up at Jacksonville with Urban Meyer, so it seems. But kind of speak to that before we round it out and I bring on Coach for the interview. That unique relationship, because I referred to even in my Dear Coach letter where I called Urban Meyer, when I called Lou Holtz to task about his decisions at the RNC, I admitted that I saw him as a father figure, and some of our Black audience members took issue with that. But that is the relationship with the right coach. I'm 19, 20 years old. That is the nature of the relationship sometimes. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that as a Black man, and then you being a coach, right? Same here, being a coach at the youth level. There's something unique about the relationship and the shared experience, Black man to Black young man, or Black man on the youth level to little Black boy. Let's talk about it.
I think if you, as Blacks growing up in America, so much of our authority, unless you're going to come from an all Black area. So much of the authority in your life is going to be white, right? And you're going to have, some very good mentors that are going to be white that grow up. I had plenty of good white mentors in my life growing up. But there is something special when you can have a conversation with somebody that really gets it, because, to be a successful Black person in this world, you're going to have to live at two lives. You're going to have that side of you that has to assimilate with the masses, right? We've all been the only Black person somewhere. We've all been the only Black person on a team or on a meeting or do whatever, and have to represent the culture all the time. And it is refreshing, to when I'm not out here entertaining people on the internet and podcasts, I'm in sales, right? And so few times, you mentioned something about your story with the law firm, with the mentor. So few times am I selling to someone who's African American, and there is that oh shit. Okay. When you get to see somebody and there's a Black person in there, you feel that kinship and feel it out where you can kind of let your hair down and be yourself 100% of the time and just kind of relate and not have to explain and do whatever. And I think from a standpoint for the players, with that coach and being able to have that little bit of kinship to somebody who can tell you, I know what you're going through. I can come to you with this problem I had in the locker room. I can come to you with this problem I'm having on campus with the professor, and I don't have to try to clean it up and figure it out because I think I can talk to you. I do think that's important. And I think there needs to be more of that mentorship, and mentorship success begets success. So you're going to have, these coaches are going to be mentors to some of these players, and maybe more players are going to go into coaching, and we're going to have a bigger pool, and we'll have more and more people. And eventually we will get that head spot. But right now, maybe this is a little discouraging for some of these kids to go in that route because they're not seeing there as a path to greatness.
I couldn't have said it better, man. We're gonna leave it right there. I appreciate your take on it, man. Good luck to you as a father to a young man being recruited as you navigate those choppy waters, brother. But again, man, you're my brother. We never were teammates, but we
I'd have lit your ass up too. You're so lucky, boy.
That's such a defensive response. I say we never teammates. It could have been like, man, we would have hung out at the bar.
You little skinny receivers, y'all had first pick at too many things. I'd have smacked you on practice.
That's such a defensive response. Why you want to hurt somebody, man? That's
a little love tap, man. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I appreciate you. Appreciate you today, man. I'm here.
Man. And I'll see you soon, man. You guys know what it is. It's Big Flo from the Big Flo Show, who is not only a contributor, man, but a part of the family, man. So I appreciate your take on it. Stay tuned, man. Here comes the part that I hope you guys have all been waiting for. And the next part is near and dear to my heart, as Big Flo talked about that relationship and people that influence and impact your life as a coach, especially someone that looks like you. In the year 2000, I got to meet a gentleman as an undrafted free agent. I was signed by Green Bay. And as an undrafted free agent, you're just trying to make a team. And I was blessed enough to not only be in that situation, to have an opportunity to make a team, but I did so in a situation where I had a black coach, someone that years later, that was the year 2000. So that's 21 years ago. So our relationship, our friendship is now 21 years old. So it is an adult relationship now. But it's someone who I have over the years, while we don't talk every day, every time I see him, he's the same man. He's got the same integrity. He's got the same smile, and he's got the same level of exemplary behavior that he had 21 years ago. And so this topic about black coaches, or the lack thereof, in the NFL, who better than someone who spent 30 years in the NFL, coaching and ascending the ranks and impacting and influencing young people's lives like myself? Who better to have on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk than our guests? Please like, please comment, please share. Make sure that you tag a friend right now, because you do not want to miss this interview. And you won't get it anywhere else but here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. Please welcome to the Ball Hawk Sports Talk my coach, Coach Ray Sherman, is in the building. What's up, Coach?
How you doing there, B?
Hey, what's up, man? You know, look, man, I got to tell everybody who is listening or watching that you always been the most suave coach in any locker room. So I knew that you was going to.
Why do you say that? Why do you say I was a suave coach?
You always look suave. You know how you do it, man. You got that Billy D, Dr. J look. You know what I'm saying? You just a smooth brother, man.
This is the COVID beard right here.
That's that COVID beard. But you always been a really sharp guy in terms of aesthetics and looks. But more importantly, man, you had, as I said in introducing you, you've just been an awesome person to me. So I want to thank you for that publicly. And I want to also thank you for spending the time here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. And we're going to dive right in, Coach, if it's okay with you.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, I already told you that, you know, I'm going to read your biography one day. And I know you were going to say the biggest mistake that you ever made was allowing Green Bay to cut me. I know you're going to say it. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, don't even waste the ink. I know what it is already. And we can move on past it. But I will say in all seriousness is that seeing you as a guy, a rookie, undrafted free agent, seeing you as the first eyes that I put my eyes on as a black coach, position coach, gave me a bit of comfort. And so, you know, we're going to talk about your different stops and the Rooney Rule, your experiences. We're going to get into some of that. But just from an impact standpoint, do you think of that, like the impact that you've had on young men's lives like myself?
Well, the thing that I look at is when you're a young man, you come into a new environment, fresh out of college, and you're not sure about what the circumstances are going to be, what you're going to go through. And what I try to do is I want you to feel comfortable and making sure that when you come into a situation that you're unfamiliar with, but I want you to feel comfortable and be relaxed, because it's always already going to be a strenuous situation. You're going to put a lot of time in, put a lot of hours in, preparing and getting yourself ready. And what I wanted to do is just get you in a situation where you're not worried about all tensed up or uptight about the situation, even though it is a tough and a strenuous and big time job. But I wanted you to feel comfortable and just be relaxed, so you be yourself. Right. And when you come into that situation, and I want guys, don't worry about making a mistake, because everybody's going to make mistakes. The main thing is you want to improve on that where you want to show some good things each and every day that you're there and not worry about the mistakes. And that's why I say, if you make a mistake, just let it roll off your back. But the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to continue to make mistakes, because that's the easiest way of getting yourself out of a job.
I will say, I will attest that you absolutely made me feel at ease. And you were always constantly saying that, you know. And so as an undrafted free agent, for those who don't know, the odds of you making a team are very rare. The probability is against you, because when I walked into Green Bay, I think we had like 16 receivers, and a number that you go into camp with 16 receivers. There were 3 guys that were drafted, all drafted higher than me, because I'm undrafted, right? I'm the one undrafted guy. So, and you're all fighting for basically 5, maybe 6 spots. It came down to a 6th spot. And I remember waiting on that last day. It went to like the last 15 minutes before I got the call. And the thing that you did for me, and again, I want to say it publicly, is you did reassure me. You did let me know that I belong, because I was able to overcome those psychological challenges. So when I got that call, I had an opportunity to come back to Green Bay and be on the practice squad or go to Cleveland. While I chose to go to Cleveland, I did so equipped and prepared, because you had given me the confidence, and you had given me that belief in myself that indeed that I belong. So I again, publicly, I want to say I appreciate that. But now let's dive into the topic as it pertains to the show. The show's title is Affirmative Inaction. And that is really, I'm dealing with the Rooney Rule, and I'm looking at 2021. I'm comparing it to 2003 when the Rooney Rule started, and I'm still seeing a lack of Black coaches. The latest hire with Houston, you happen to know that, Coach. What do you think about that hire with Coach David Culley?
Well, first of all, David and I coached together first time I was with the Steelers in '98, and David was the receiver coach, and I was the offensive coordinator. And we spent a lot of time together. And the thing about David is, which I don't know if a lot of people realize, he's smart. He's a guy that's very enthusiastic. He's a hell of a coach, and he is a teacher. He's a teacher of the game. And I know sometimes people want to talk about the age, 65. The thing about it is he's a young man, you know, he's a young coach. And I wish people would get off that, well, he's 65, he's this and that. He has an opportunity to do something. Now, how long that lasts, who knows? But at least he's gotten an opportunity. He's paid his dues. He probably shouldn't have to wait this long to get this opportunity, you know? Like you see now, you get guys, the rules change every year as far as the hiring process. First of all, when you're a Black coach coming in the league, all right, you know, you got to be a coordinator, you know, in order to have a chance to take that next step to be a head coach. Then when you become a coordinator, well, you got to call plays, you know, to have a chance to take that next step.
Right.
Oh, then the next one, oh, well, you got to be younger. We want a younger guy. You know, the rules change every year.
Right.
And the thing is, you know, and I remember you talked about Eric Bieniemy earlier. What does he have to do to have an opportunity to get that next level? Now, this is the thing that bothered me about the Eric Bieniemy situation is the first thing that the media tried to do was talk about his background when he was in high school. Where does it come from? I know some guys that are in this league who were driving through Wendy's butt naked, you know, and the guy now is still coaching, you know.
Right.
And, you know,
let me guess, that coach probably is not Black.
No, he's not. You know, I mean, so the thing is, if there was a Black coach that did that, he'd be out of the league. He never would be coaching again.
Right.
So I think people pick and choose who they want. They pick and choose on what they want to say about coaches.
Yep.
And to me, it's unfair. And I think it's in the system. And I really believe, you know, we can say, well, there's not more Black head coaches, but I think this year is the first time that's not only you have a couple of Black coaches, but you have more Black coordinators now. You have more Black quarterback coaches now. You have, you know, coordinators, D coordinators, offensive coordinators. So I see a change there, but when you talk about the Rooney Rule, I think the Rooney Rule, people make it a joke. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When Bill Walsh was in the league, when Mr. Rooney was running it, things were getting done.
Mm-hmm.
Since those two men have passed on, it has changed. People use it as a joke.
Right.
They parade guys around. They interview him this is the third time Eric Bieniemy has interviewed, third year in a row that he's interviewed for a head job.
Right.
And they just bypass him. Well, what happened to the situation where they hold a job for him? If they want to hire him, hold that job for like they've done some coaches.
It's like he's being penalized for his success, where, like you said, other coaches, they do hold the job. And
Right.
And what do you think, just because I interject, just because I want to ask on the heels of that, you've made the sacrifices. So when people are treating the Rooney Rule as a joke, like, how did you stay motivated, such an extremely competitive industry, regardless of age, to continue to work, to move up the ladder of coaching for 30 plus years and counting? Because rumor has it that in the right situation, you might get right back into it. You still look like you're ready to coach now.
Well, the thing is the way I look at it is, as a black coach, a black man, we have dealt through situations all our lives. We prepare ourselves. Our parents prepared us and talked to us about what it's going to be like growing up as a young black man. And so therefore you got to mentally put your mind to the point where I'm going to do my job. If it works out for me, or if I can help somebody else move up that ladder, then so be it. But I'm not going to lose any sleep, worrying about it, that I don't get it. I mean, I've gone through the situation. I've gone through the interviews, and I understand. I understand what the process is. And until we get black ownership in the NFL, until you get that, that's the only way it's going to change. And when you don't have that, it's very difficult, because I had a person of the media tell me that owners have told them white coaches are going to have the first opportunity of getting the jobs before a black coach. And that's just the way it is. And
Wow.
You can train guys, you can bring them up, whether they're, if they're young white coaches, you train them, you work with them, you teach them. And then what happens is they bypass you and they be getting the coordinator jobs, or they get the head jobs, and you're still right where you are. And so that's why I said, until you get black ownership in the NFL, that's one of the things that it can change and help change.
The same thing is true in corporate America, Coach. Terry Robisky ended up being the last receiver coach that I had in Cleveland. And I remember teasing him. I was like, hey, Coach, they were trying to send me to NFL Europe. I was like, Coach, thanks, but no thanks. I've been studying for the LSAT. I'm going to go to law school. I'm going back to law school. And we had a good joke. He was like, Terry, he said some choice words. Like, Terry very well. He's like, such and such.
Yeah.
A few expletives. I didn't know you were smart. And we had a moment where black man to black man, he looked at me and he was just like, you're destined for greatness.
Right.
And it was not only a moment, but it's something that we're still a friend as well. I've been fortunate enough to maintain a relationship with him as well. But I share that to say I enter corporate America and I experienced some of the same things, because there's not a lot of black ownership. There aren't a lot of black folk in top management making decisions.
Right.
The hiring seems very similar. So I don't know. I guess, how or what type of fortunate circumstances have enabled black coaches that have been able to achieve head coaching positions despite this reality, despite the lack of black ownership? That comes to mind: Mike Tomlin, Marvin Lewis, Dennis Green. How have they done that? Is there a key ingredient that they are finding that others haven't? What gives them those opportunities versus some of the? There's a laundry list, way longer, actually, a limitless list, an unlimited number of names that you would put on these brothers still haven't gotten an opportunity. What's the difference?
Well, I think it's just the sign of the times. I think it was just the being at the right place at the right time. But, you look at what Bruce Arians has done at Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay. Look at what he's done. Look at who he's hired. Look at the people on his staff. So it goes to show you they're playing for the Super Bowl, and they got some qualified Black coaches that are coordinators in top positions.
Absolutely.
And so it shows that it takes, Bruce Arians to show that, hey, Bruce Arians had a relationship with a lot of these guys. He coached a lot of these guys. He raised a lot of these guys. So he understands what they're capable of doing.
Right.
And even when Tampa Bay might have struggled a little bit and Brian Leftwich was calling the plays and they were saying, well, Bruce, are you going to call the plays? Bruce said, no, I'm not calling the plays. And so when somebody tried to come in and derail that train, Bruce kept them on track.
Right.
If you look at Bruce and what he's done, and he's a hell of a coach, but he's a hell of a man, you appreciate and you want to play for a guy like him. Because he gave guys an opportunity to show what they can do. Now, whether they have opportunities down the road to be court or head coaches, time going to tell. But at least he put them in position to have those opportunities.
I got to be with Coach Arians, BA, and not only is he a good brother, sharp dress as well. He wears the hats like these.
I see it.
Yeah, real good dude. And there are, as you describe him, for those of you who don't know, Tampa Bay in every major phase of the game has a Black coordinator, and that's never been done before. But there are allies, as I like to say, in the community. There are allies in corporate America that, although they are not melanated people, they ain't Black folk, they are allies. It sounds like Bruce is one of those allies in the NFL. Are there any other names that come right to mind of, white coaches or white decision makers that indeed they get it, that all we need is an opportunity, whereas the nepotism and the young white guy that's been getting the opportunity fresh out of school sometimes, whereas they've gotten those opportunities, brothers haven't. Do you think of any allies when you think of that topic?
Well, I tell you what, I always think back when I first came into the league as a young coach, and when you came in, Jerry Glanville hired me in my first NFL job with the Houston Oilers. Mm-hmm. When I came into Houston, one of the things that Jerry, he and I, we talked for probably about 2.5, almost 3 hours, and we didn't really talk about football. We just talked about life. And then he talked about what he wanted me to instill in the position that I was going to coach. At the time, I was going to coach running backs. And we had Mike Rozier, who was a Heisman Trophy winner. And, we had Alonzo Highsmith, Alan Pinkett. We had Ray Wallace. We had guys like that. And what he wanted me to do is just get this group to playing at a high level. But being a young coach, when I went in, I learned from veteran coaches. At that time, it was, I think Neil Jackson was there, June Jones was there. And, and I was learning from them on how they did it, how they did things. And then, but also I would, they would ask me questions about what I did, because I was coming from the University of Georgia. And they talked to me about things that I did. But what I did is I listened and I learned. And what I learned from coming into the league, you worked your way up the ladder. You worked your way up to the position, maybe becoming a quarterback coach or the receiver coach. And then you become a coordinator. And then you work your way up the ladder. Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays, it ain't like that. You could be on a staff for 10 or 12 years, but then, they have a guy that's been on his staff a couple of years, and then all of a sudden he jumps up and he's the coordinator. And sometimes you're not even asked that, hey, would you be interested in interviewing for the coordinator's job? They just jump a guy over you now. So it shows you that it has changed. It has changed now. It used to be, now it's where if you're a special team coach, where you coach everybody. So now you ought to be able to interview for a head job. A lot of minority coaches aren't asked to be coordinators. They're not asked to interview for head jobs. And then, and that's the other thing that I see. You need to have an opportunity just to interview for the job. That doesn't happen. Right. And just like I said, the Rooney Rule is a joke now because they laugh at it, because they parade you around. I look at Perry Pugh, who won 2 Super Bowls, and when he was with the New York Giants, and he interviewed 2 years in a row, then all of a sudden, he's out. He's in the league office.
Right.
I've seen guys just, and I hope that doesn't happen with Bieniemy because he's done a heck of a job. He's been on a great team, and even the players there, that if they didn't think that he can do the job, they're not going to come out and say anything. Mahomes has come out and said it. Other players have said who've been around him and said this guy has done a hell of a job.
Right.
So why not, give him an opportunity, give him a chance. I don't understand it. And then you can get some guys will say, oh well, he worked with this quarterback, so he's going to be a quarterback. He's going to be the head coach because he coached this quarterback. It's not right.
Yeah, and we've been shaking our heads saying it's not right for a long time. For those of you who are just joining in, we're here with Coach Ray Sherman, who spent over 30 years coaching in the NFL and has so much real experience and is being very generous with his time. So we really appreciate it, Coach. I'll ask you this about the Rooney Rule, because I know that at least once you were hired, you were interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was for the Dallas Cowboys job, but it was associated with the Rooney Rule.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ask you, as someone who was an interviewee for a head coaching job that was identified publicly as a Rooney Rule candidate,
mm-hmm.
What did it feel like being a candidate for? Now, I can't stand the Dallas Cowboys, so I'm just going to stick to the Rooney Rule aspect of it. What did it feel like being a candidate and knowing that? I don't want to call it obligatory, but indeed, under the Rooney Rule, it was an obligatory interview. How did that make you feel as an interviewee?
Well, first of all, I didn't want to do it. I felt that I already knew that Garrett was going to get the job. Okay, I already knew that he was the heir apparent to what he felt, so I knew he was going to get the job. So I'm just, I guess I felt like it was just going to be just go through the motions, knowing that the other guy's going to get the job. So what I did is I called, I talked to my agent, and I was telling him, how I felt. That I said I don't really want to do this because I know who's going to get the job. And he talked to me and he said, hey, no, you go ahead and do it. I think you ought to do it because it's going to be a great experience for you. And go ahead and do it. So okay, I go in and did. So I got all my information prepared. I had my book put together, and then when I went into the office and met with Jerry. I presented my materials and we talked, and I was probably in there, I knew that I didn't think it was going to be long. I think it would be 45 minutes, something like that. We were in there almost 4 hours.
Wow.
I went through everything, and I had to laugh because he looked at me and said, man, you know a lot. And I said, Jerry, I've been doing this a long time. I better know a lot. I better know what I'm doing.
Right.
If you're asking me to be a head coach, I better know what I'm talking about. I better know what I'm doing. And so afterwards, I'm glad that I did do it. And I think I showed him that, hey, this guy can do it if he had opportunity. But I knew I wasn't going to never be the head coach at Dallas Cowboys. But I showed him that, hey, man, this guy probably can do it if he gets a chance. And so when I left the meeting, I was, I knew I wasn't going to get the job, but I felt better that I did do it.
That trailblazer mentality, honestly, brother, whether it be increasing the number of black coaches in the NFL, whether it be, and I felt similar in terms of corporate America. Some of it is I had to be there for somebody else to have the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that eventually it pays off. We've been waiting on that eventually for a while, but I'm glad you did it. When you hear of people being passed up, people that have been on the staff for a long time, have proven track record, they get passed up by the next young, more times than not, white coach. The most recent example, I think, is Deuce Staley, who packed his bag. He's like, I'm out of here. I'm not getting a fair shake. What do you think of it? I know you've lived through it. You don't need to necessarily share that account of when it happened under whose regime, but when you see it happening still, these guys getting passed up, and like a Deuce Staley feeling so overlooked that I'm going to pack my bags and leave. What does that say about the success of the Rooney Rule and where we are, current state of affairs for black coaches in the NFL and black executives as well?
Well, I say, just like I said with the Rooney Rule, I think people have made it out of a mockery. I think they have made it a joke. And that's just the way it is. And the only thing I can tell Deuce Staley and other coaches that have been through that situation is sometimes you have to move on, because you can see that you're never going to get an opportunity to get that job. But maybe you go somewhere else and then get a fresh start and carry on from there. But you know what? They got to understand that it may not be at the next place you go to either. And if you leave there, it may not be at the next place. So you just never know, when that situation is going to change for you. The only thing you got to do is keep your head to the grindstone, keep working, and maybe you may get an opportunity in college, even though they're limited there. But maybe you might get an opportunity in college. And I think the other thing is a lot of coaches, they need to have an opportunity to talk to general managers. And so the general manager had a chance to get to know you, because a lot of times these guys are hiring guys that they feel comfortable with, or they know, or they went to high school with, or they went to college with, and I think that's what happens. You look at the University of Tennessee, I think Tony Elliott from Clemson was, they were talking about where he may be receiving an offer. Well, they hired, the head coach from Central Florida, because the AD came from Central Florida and went to Tennessee.
Josh
Josh Heupel. So you see the connection there, and I think people a lot of times going to hire somebody who they feel comfortable with, and I wish that it wasn't like that, but that's that's just the way it is, and I feel that when you have Black athletic directors, or you have GMs, they have an opportunity. If they have a say so on who they hire, then that's good. But a lot of times, the general manager, because he's Black, he may not have an opportunity to bring in who he wants to bring in, and so a lot of those shots are called from ownership.
Right.
And the other thing that has changed from when I came into the league, it was you couldn't hire family members, in the coaching profession. When I came into the league, you interview for the job, and then you get hired based on your credentials and what you've done. Nowadays, guys are hiring, family members, where it wasn't that way when I came into the league. So that's a little different.
That last name and that nepotism is big these days. It's running rampant these days. But you describe people hire who they're comfortable with. And the same thing is true in corporate America. I like to call it the island, if you will, because while I was in a law firm, I described in my Center Court piece that I didn't get invited to lunch. I didn't get the mentoring that is necessary to advance your career and become a better lawyer. Same thing in finance is, the new CEO acknowledged that, man, no one ever even mentored you. That's unfortunate. And so being on that island, right, is that, and I call it the island because being successful, I had to make certain decisions and separate myself from certain elements of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where I'm from. I can't just hang out with I got to separate myself because there's a responsibility.
Right.
At the same time, I'm in a new world, and I'm not truly embraced by the powers that be in that world. And so I kind of call it the island. And if you will, because I think there's a lot of coaches that I would also say are kind of, you've been on that island. You guys have been in that world in the ranks of the NFL, but also still feeling sort of detached. And because of your 30 plus years of coaching, some of the highest ranking people in the NFL. And it's a public topic. This particular instance is Eric Bieniemy, but it's a public topic about the lack of Black coaches in the NFL. Have some of those people that those decision makers, the higher ups, what do they say from the league trying to explain the lack of representation of Black coaches? Like, what's their rationale? Is it even discussed? Do they just pretend as though we don't see what we see, or what? How's it discussed?
They don't discuss it. It's business as usual. And I think, being a coach, what I do is every day I went in and I wanted to be the best coach that I possibly can be. I wanted to make sure that every day when I taught a young man that I did things that's going to help him to be a better player each and every day. That's what I worked on. That's what my focus is on, getting that position to be the best position, not only in the league, but each and every day. I want those guys to prosper and get better. And I was blessed to coach a lot of great players, a lot of different just mindsets. Some guys were wired differently. And you got to know how to work and deal with guys that are wired differently. And, I'll tell you, I've been able to, I had Jerry Rice and Terrell Owens and Randy Moss and Chris Carter, all guys, all Hall of Famers, but they were different personalities, but they were all wired differently. And you got to know how to deal and work with guys that are like that. A lot of coaches can't deal with guys that are wired differently. What they want to do is they want to trade them somewhere else because they don't want to deal with it. And you got to learn. And that's why I like the old school coaches, because, the Jerry Glanfields, the George Seifers, guys that I've been with, hey, you coach, Al Davis would bring in guys you were supposed to be the renegades, but he hired you as a coach to coach those guys. And that's what you got to be able to do as a coach. So you got to put your personal feelings or whatever behind you, but you got to say, hey, I got to teach this guy and I got to coach this guy. And you got to be able to give them something each and every day that are going to help them to be better players. But also what I did as a coach, I also want to know them about them as a person, the family, the kids, the wives, the parents. I wanted to know all those things about them, because sometimes you may have a young man that may have a rough day. Now, in the NFL, they don't care about they don't care about your issues. It's about business, right?
Amen.
What I did, I wanted to know, like, if a guy's having a bad day, I wanted to know what was bothering you. Is your kid sick, or your mom sick, or dad, or whatever? Somebody's having a tough time. And so what I was able to do when I knew that, I would go to the head coach and say, hey, coach, this is happening with him today. I just want you to know that if he's having a bad day, I just want to let you know. And I would let the head coach know that was the case. So, coach is not jumping all over the guy because he's having a tough time, but I'd let him know that, so at least he understood. Now, whatever that head coach did, that's up to him, but at least he knew, if that guy was having a bad day or something happened in the family. So that's what I believe in doing.
Which I can attest to. And I remember you asking me about not only my family, my brother walked up to you at the NFL Combine years later. It was like, hey, I'm Bobby Brown's big brother. And you spoke, I remember him talking about you, right? And you have always been a personable person. I can attest to that. You used to ask me about, my girlfriend. Just let you know, I married her. So whatever counseling you gave me, it worked. It worked. I married. Yeah.
It's just different, Bobby. It's just different. That's just the approach I have. A lot of people don't have that approach, but that was the approach that worked for me, because I wanted to know everything that I could about that young man so I could help him. And that's why, I don't know if you were there in Green Bay, but we had it where we call it Keep It Real.
Yes.
And Keep It Real was, you talked about life lessons, you talked about religion, you talked about business, you talked about family. You talked about why you're not playing. You talked about a lot of different things, but what we did is we kept it in that room so guys would understand one another. And the veteran guys had a chance to listen to the young guys, and the young guys had a chance to listen to the veteran guys. And so what that did, that brought that interaction with everybody, had a chance to know one another. And some of those guys are friends now to this day because of the relationships that they build. Because as you know, sometimes when guys come in, they don't get a chance to know that veteran guy. They don't get a chance to know the young guy. And sometimes you just never know where life's going to take you. And that's one of the reasons why I would bring those things out to them.
Great guys in that room. Donald Driver, whenever I reach out to Donald Driver, he's still, but we have some amazing gentlemen in that room.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that you having a very unique perspective in the sense that you could relate to the guy beyond just the field of play, brings me back to that special relationship that Black coaches have that some coaches just will never have. It is what it is, in the sense that you can understand the experience a little bit better just because you've lived it. You've been in this America that doesn't embrace
No.
the fact that we are in this skin.
No, they don't do that now. They don't do that. A lot of guys don't care about that guy. Hey, they ship him on and he goes somewhere else. But to me,
that development, coach, I'll say that development and you taking personal interest in it beyond just the field of play, and in addition to the field of play, even if they're wired differently, because you named some great receivers, some great ones. I mean, they weren't no Bobby Brown or nothing like that, but some Hall of Fame guys that were wired differently, and you saw the responsibility that you had to develop them, and that's where I think having brothers in the room as coaches, it matters. It really does.
And Bobby, the other thing is too, I coach quarterbacks. Some of those guys are wired differently. When I was with Warren's wired differently. Brad Johnson was wired differently. It was said when I was with Minnesota, it was a coach that said, well, he can't play. He'll never play. And when I went out and worked him out and watched him, because he was in the World League, I watched him, and I told the head coach, I said, this guy can play. Just all he needs is an opportunity. Mm-hmm. And he ended up winning the Super Bowl. So the thing is I don't go by what other people say. I go by what my eyes see, and regardless of what position that they play, because you got to have a certain feel about a person. You got to have a something that say, hey, this guy has the ability. Sometimes you have to bring that out of that person,
right?
What they're capable of doing, and the rest is up to that young man.
Absolutely. I'll say this because the coach, David Culley, who you said that and people have talked about his age being 65, and you describe that as he's earned this opportunity, where some people might say he's too old. You say he's earned his opportunity. Mm-hmm. You also gave us from a historical perspective how when you started coaching, it was you had to ascend the ranks. But the fact that David Culley at 65, who has earned this opportunity, got interviewed for a position that Josh McCown also interviewed for. Mm-hmm. It's kind of laughable to me. I'm just stating it from my own personal viewpoint. Same thing is true Green Bay. I get to Green Bay, and Mike Sherman is the coach, which is okay, but Mike Sherman is now superseding Ray Rhodes, who got fired after 8-8. Mike Sherman at that point had only had 1 year as the old coordinator in Seattle, 1999. Before that, he had 2 years as the tight ends coach at Green Bay. He had a total of 3 years as an assistant coach in the NFL, and he gets what is the creme de la creme, or one of the ideal jobs in the NFL, being a Green Bay Packers head coaching job. And he then, again, replaces Ray Rhodes, who went 8-8. It's hard to go 8-8 in the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting to me because he was a college coach before that. It reminds me of Josh McCown versus a David Culley for the same job. It just reeks of how does this happen? And then a year later, after 2000, not only is he the head coach, but he gets a GM title attached to his name. At that point, having a total of 4 years as an NFL coach. 1 as a head coach. He gets the responsibility as a GM. I know you coached under him, so I'm not going to ask you to speak on that specifically. Mm-hmm. But the general sentiment of that conundrum, like that, how does that happen? How does that happen when a Ray Rhodes at 8-8, who only 3-4 years prior to that was like coach of the year, gets fired after 1 8-8 year? It's almost though that they, being the powers that be, are throwing it in our face. And so I'm not even asking a question because I don't want to put you in a bad spot, but I'm observing. And it just makes you say, 2 quick last questions, Coach, and then I'll let you get out of here because you've been so generous with your time. The first one, I talk about this island as I described it. And you said that you have not ruled out possibly coaching again if it's the right situation. Mm-hmm. It has to be the right situation. I imagine the right situation is you want to be hired by someone that you have similar philosophies and you guys see the issues related to diversity in coaching. That's how I see it. and I want you to speak on it. But as I think about that island, the first question is more of a let's have fun with this question, because that island full of brothers who coach, I gotta know. I imagine on that island, y'all do things like play spades, bid whist, dominoes. All right. Who is the best? What's your game of choice? You've been with spades, dominoes. I know you play one of them because that's what we do that now.
One game that I play now is called Sequence.
Sequence.
So you ought to play that game. That is a fun game. You can play one-on-one. You can play four. You can couples. You can play six people.
Okay.
And that's a fun game. You ought to. It's called Sequence.
I'm gonna look it up. Is there another coach, another black coach that you think of in your interactions, playing games, or that you would say is the best of the particular game, or talks the most trash? Is there another black coach that's out there that you have? You don't got to give us the details of it, but that comes to mind when you think about those moments on the island where brothers are just spending time with one another. Is there any particular coach that stands out? An amazing bid whist, amazing spades, amazing dominoes player, or even sequence? Is there any other coach out there, black coach in NFL, that comes to mind?
Wow, man! I tell you, there's so many guys out there. The one guy that talks a big game is John Guy.
Okay.
He was in the league office, and he and I have been friends forever.
Yes.
And he's
a Buffalo.
He was at Buffalo for 9 years.
9 years. Yep.
And he talks a whole lot of mess, and he wants me to start playing chess. So I'm getting ready to start playing him chess because he always talks a whole lot of mess. And the thing is that we can bet on games. We can, talk about friendly bets on games, talking about who's going to win,
right?
This and that, whether it's college or pros or whatever. He always gets beat. He can't beat me. But he
listens to this because Coach Guy and I, he became a front office guy, but we're connected on Facebook, so I'm gonna make sure he hears this.
I want him to hear it. I want him to hear it because he's a chess man, so he wants me to play chess. So I'm gonna have to play him in some chess because he's always talking, but he can't beat me.
Right.
So he's trying to find different things that he can do to beat me. We play backgammon. We play a lot of different things. But chess, I haven't really played a lot of chess. So
I got you back. And you taught me how to run the dig route on a precise angles. I'm gonna teach you some chess because that's my game. I got you.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Life comes full circle. That's the least I can do is give you that. I could teach you a few things. Last question. And I was jokingly talking about the biography that the Ray Sherman, Coach Ray Sherman biography. But if there is a book that about your life, about your coaching experiences, if there's a nugget that you could leave in there for an aspiring coach that wants to ascend the ranks, somebody that might be just breaking down film right now, or someone like myself that maybe I want to get back into the game, but on the executive side, because I do think we need black ownership. With all your 30 plus years of experience, the highs, the lows, the stuff that we can talk about publicly, the stuff that you've seen in the back channels, is there any nugget that you would leave with them as we let you go for today?
Well, the thing I always tell young coaches, because guys call me all the time and ask me my opinion or advice, and what I tell them is when you guys are getting hired, whether it's college, whether it's professional ball, what you need to do is go to these conventions, go to the Senior Bowl, go to different places where you have a chance to meet a lot of people. And then when you are hired on a job, and say, for example, I tell college guys all the time, young guys, I say, you guys make sure you get to know, some of your coaches on the other side of the field. Introduce yourself. As a college coach, you're going to be out recruiting. You'll be on a recruiting trail, even though it's competitive as it is. You might be able to exchange information. You might be able to recruit this player to your school where I might not be able to get him in my school, and vice versa.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I learned what I did as a young coach. When I was a college coach, I would recruit Georgia. And this is when I was at Purdue. And then when I went to University of Georgia, a couple of coaches that I knew, they coached at South Carolina State and Tennessee State and, different places. And so I would give them names of guys that I wouldn't be able to recruit, but I would give them to them so they can get on top of it. And that's how you build relationships, you know, because the way I ended up at University of Georgia is when I was at Purdue and Ray Goff was coaching at Georgia, and we would always clash and always recruiting the same people. When I was at Wake Forest, he was at South Carolina, and we always went against each other. And then, you know, he beat me on a lot of them because he's at Georgia, and I beat him on some. But then he said, "Hey, you know what? You got to come to Georgia. You would help us." And that's what happened. We built those relationships with guys, and you become friends, and then you end up, you know, ended up on the same staffs.
Right.
So that's the reason why I will always try to help young guys. I always tell them, even in professional ball, you know, you have to just get to know people, talk to people, and you can't be shy, and you can't be afraid to go introduce yourself, and, you know, find out about that person and ask questions, and that's how you build relationships, whether it's white or black. You know, that's how you do it, because there's some hell of delicious white coaches that can coach that don't get opportunities.
Right.
You know? So the bottom line is we don't get those opportunities like they do. But sometimes you build a relationship with a guy, he gets that job, and then all of a sudden, because of your relationship with him, he brings you in and he makes you a coordinator, or he gives you a position or something that's gonna help you move up the ladder.
Absolutely. Great advice. You keep dropping nuggets, Coach. Honestly, man, I can't say enough how much I appreciate your impact on my life, but to watch the impact you've had on other people's lives, other coaches, the fact that you've made the sacrifices that you have made, the fact that you have the story that you can share, the summary of your journey that you can share with a lot of these other young coaches, man. I'm blessed to have met you in the year 2000. I'm even more blessed to still know you and call you friend in the year 2021. And I'm even more blessed to say that you were a guest here on the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. So I thank you humbly. But before you leave, I know you and John Guy go have a wager when it comes to the Super Bowl. I need you to tell the guests, Ball Hawk Sports Talk, a week out, what is your prediction? Tampa Bay versus Kansas City. Who you got? You going with TB12, Patrick Mahomes? Is it going to be a defensive game? Is it going to come down to special teams? Who you got, Coach? I got to listen to the expert.
Well, I'm going to say this. I know everybody is talking about Kansas City, and they have they are a great football team. But I'm going to say this about Tampa Bay. They are dangerous.
Yeah.
And you better watch out.
They are.
Because Todd Bowles, who's a good friend, and he's a hellacious defensive coordinator. And I'll never forget some guys before they were getting ready to play Green Bay. Everybody's talking about, oh, Todd Bowles, he's not going to be able to play all this man against Aaron Rodgers. They're not going to be able to do this. What they don't understand, Tampa Bay's got some players on defense.
Yeah, they do.
Against the run, and they will get up in your face in passing situations. And I think I'm gonna go with Tampa.
You going with Tampa?
I'm taking Tampa.
I said the same.
I know he threw 3 interceptions last week. I don't think he's gonna do that in the Super Bowl, but I'm gonna say I think Tampa Bay, they're dangerous. And I think being at home,
yes,
an advantage. I know Tampa lost to Kansas City early in the year, 27-24, but this is different.
This is different.
And Tampa has 2 weeks to prepare for Kansas City.
Yes.
And I think that's just my opinion. I just think that I'm going with Tampa Bay.
I like your opinion. That guy TB12, he's something different in the Super Bowl. I don't care what happens, when it happens, when the lights come on and there's a Super Bowl that's being played, Tom Brady figures out a way. But I do agree. Todd Bowles also, man, he's got a lot of personnel there, some great players. I'll just say this as we let you go, whether it be Byron Leftwich, whether it be Eric Bieniemy, whether it be Deuce Staley, all these young black coaches, man, I'm glad they have you to look up to and look to what you've done as they figure out their own journey. And let's improve the black coaches in the NFL. But, Coach, we are surely blessed to have had you, and maybe, still we're gonna see. Maybe
we'll see.
Continue to have you as a black coach in the NFL. You can come back to the Ball Hall Sports Talk anytime, Coach. Again, thank you, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, y'all. Look, we were long today, but for very good reason. That was a moment. I appreciate you guys indulging me to be there for that interview. That was when life comes full circle. I met him in the year 2000. He's still the same man, same integrity, and looking out for other young black men. This has been the Ball Hawk Sports Talk. Our episode today, Affirmative Inaction. The one thing that we can guarantee is if we don't do more, we will affirmatively be in the same situation 20 years from now. So when you compare 2003 and the number of black coaches then versus 2020 when the season started, the fact that it's the same number is embarrassing. But the only way it changes is if each one of us, we got to do something about it. As someone that's now in law, finance, I got to do something about it. As Coach Sherman put it, we need black ownership. So we can complain about it all we want and be a part of the affirmative inaction, or we could do something about it. You know what it is? It's the Ball Hawk Sports Talk, where sports, business, and entertainment collide. I'm your boy, B. Brown, ESQ, a.k.a. the Ball Hawk, a.k.a. the Mount South, a.k.a. Mr. Excessive Celebration. Please like, please comment, please share. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform. This has been the show, and we out. Peace.